Let's start because I think we will have kind of like quite some stuff to cover, and a little bit of introduction, of course, as always. Python for Dummies from Dummy. I didn't choose this kind of like just for fun. This kind of like this name for this workshop, and there is a very important thing that I will try to kind of like to show to you is that you not have to be a Python professional, super intelligent, uberhuman pipeline guy in order to write tools and in order to elevate yourself as a compositor. Okay, so I do expect that you guys don't have any experience with Python, and if you already have a little bit, that will be maybe a little bit boring for you because I do want to step by step, just to take basics, very bare minimum for you to be able to somehow deal with the Python. And there are many areas that you will be able benefit from Python from the moment you will get this. Well, I actually can't do it. And I mean, this is you dummies, and I consider myself complete Python dummy, and I'm not trying to be, oh, I'm dummy. No, but you're writing this code. No, I do know that 100%. Why? Because I don't know approximately 50% of Python. Absolutely, I know that because I see the Python of pipeline engineers. I see Python codes that I'm part of the Python group on LinkedIn, and I see that sometimes showing me stuff. I'm like, well, I didn't know that exists. 50% of the stuff, but saying that I'm able to write code and I'm able to elevate my abilities with the minimum or slightly more than minimum that I have now after 10 years. That's kind of like, well, time in order to achieve my goals. And that's something that extremely important to understand with the programming language or any task, anything. It's not like, you have a goal and you find a way to go there. If the way is going through TCL, you will go to TCL. Is your way is going through just, well, let's put 20 Blair nodes one after other, and each one will set value of 1 manually, and then we'll have very nice Blair. Well, this is, and you're achieving your goal, you are done. That's it. You don't need any Python, no TCL. And what we need to see Python is just, well, there is a goal that we have to achieve. And, well, how can we do that? Well, Python. Okay, what can we do there? Probably this, probably that. And that's, of course, the scary part, because from the moment when you're not touching this, for you, Python is the smart pipeline engineer, which with smart face will show you something. And it is not. It is, for many things, especially for us as compositors, it's very basic things that we need to know in order to get from A to B. The longer you learn, the more you understand how dummy you are, and actually to do complicated stuff, maybe you need to use more and more complex things. But what I will try to give you in these three meetings is the very basics, so you will be able to be not afraid when you see some code or you have to achieve some goals of yourselves. Okay, so this is very essential, because from the moment you know how to do that, and I was thinking about examples and many of them, and I was like, what will be best? Like when you see the house, you're impressed how house is built. You're like, wow, this architect and stuff. And you're looking how it's built with the bricks. Literally, there is a stone which is brick, and some guy put one brick and another brick and another brick and another brick. And was what he knew that there is a gravity, there is a brick, and there is a cement. 3 things, that's it. You can build your own toilet already. Okay, you need to know how to drill a hole and so on and so on. But very important part, have a look. There is amazing building, but you already can build a toilet by yourself, because there is a brick, there is cement, and so on and so on. Same with the Python. You will know after today already something that you will be able to do by yourself, that you kind of like, if you don't know and if you're afraid and looking at the building and you're scared of that, you're never touching that. You don't understand, well, if I'll just take these 2 bricks, then I will have, I don't know, something to sit on. Okay, some little things. So that's basically will be the idea, and let's go forward. Why should I bother? Because, well, Alexey, why should I, like, a question I'm always asked, and you ask this, and so on and so on, and I just sit down and I wrote to myself what we would like to achieve with that, and why should I bother to learn Python in general. Okay, So, as you can read, I will just go through this and maybe I will kind of like will add a little bit. So to be able to create your own user, which is tailored specifically for you as a freelancers, you're going from company to company. Every company has amazing ways to work, and sometimes you don't like it, and sometimes you want to keep the color of your rotor shape. You want to keep your own defaults. You want to keep your own menu, your own scripts, gizmos, groups, and if you know a little bit of Python, you will be able to save your menu PY, to save your user and bring it from company to company. So you're coming to company and then there is less shit that you have to deal with because you feel that you brought your own environment, working environment, together with yourself. Your shortcuts, many other things that we will touch probably in few weeks' time. And this is extremely simple when you know very, very basics. You will be able to write your own snippets. For example, I want to select a certain value on many nodes. Well, it's 5 lines of code, maybe 4, and you will be able to save that. And then next time when you need to operate something like that, you're like, ah, yeah, of course, tick, 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 done. Instead of going, and if it's 3 nodes, it's fine. If it's 50, you are fucked. To be able to use code of someone else, essential. And not only for you, for any programmer, any pipeline engineer that it's making some code, they always going to internet how to make a loop which will blah blah. Oh, there is somebody wrote it. Copy, paste. If you have basic understanding of syntax, basic understanding what function is or class, let's not go to class for now. You can just look for it in Google or ChatGPT now in last few weeks, copy the code and read how does it work and understand that, because usually there will be explanations as well. If you don't have basic understanding, well, what else? You're scared. You're scared, you're not going to do that. Ability to identify errors, that's also essential. Many times, Alexey, there is a problem with my shot. Can you give me the print of the terminal? And usually it's printing you in this line or this specific node is erroring and you cannot read it because you don't understand like basic kind of like errors. Important to be more rounded compositor, and I didn't want to put the human being because that will be a little bit too philosophical, but same point. The more you know, the more round person you are. The bigger your understanding of generally of certain areas, so if it's compositing or it's in life, if you know, I don't know, math or philosophy, you understand the world in a better way. And programming specifically is connected to us compositors very, very strongly, because what we're doing in comp, we are programmers. Our Nuke script, our script is area in which we programming to get a result. Okay, this is just graphical interface, but actually under the hood, it's actual code which is running. And you will see when we will start to talk about areas in the Python, you will see the very strong connection. And the previous point when I mentioned that to be more round compositor, it's the same point. There is direct connection that you can learn from the way you programming how to comp your shots, because there is absolutely the same. You really want to be modular, you really want to be organized, blah, 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 blah. Okay, last one, to get basic understanding what happens, and as a result to lose feeling of discomfort and anxiety when talking with technical heads. Because that's something that I experienced in the beginning of my career a lot. I looked on these guys as a heroes, as a gods, and right now I'm looking on the pipeline engineers in a very different way, because we know what we want. Like it's very close to us. We want from A to B in this way because we know if we will go different way, it will be differently. And this is difference between us and pipeline guys, which have slightly different goals to achieve. We want from A to B. They want to create very good tools for us to go from A to B, but they don't have deep understanding that we have what exactly we want. And sometimes, frequently, we want to go to pipeline and to ask them, guys, can you please create this tool? Okay, that's necessity. But in many, many cases, we can do it by ourselves, maybe not in so professional way, but we can put bricks to stand on them to jump to the next place. Okay, so this is, I hope, clarify to you the why because that will be the most essential. And that now important with programming, it's not coming now. You're learning, boom, I know Kung Fu. No, that's something that you will start to feel benefits dripping slowly, after months, after 2, after 1 year, and then you feel like, wow, I would not achieve what I achieved right now if I would not dare to try it. Okay? End of pep talk. Let's start with the with the Python actually. Okay, so how I do see Python and how I would like you to try to understand any programming language, I believe. And it's basically, imagine a library, literally a library. And in library, you have a few modules which is standing on the floor. And inside of the module, there are few books, as you can see here in this picture. And I think that's how we can approach. So if you would like to go in some book and read out of this book something, or in programming, you want to get something out of it, you kind of like putting inside of a book some information and spitting out some different information for you. Let's assume you always will have to go to certain library, find the module which we see here, which is responsible for architecture. Inside of module, you will find specific book, and then this specific book will give you an information, okay? And that's how actually Python is built. And let's read right now. So libraries, it's a Python library is a collection of related modules. Boom, modules are there. What is a module? A module is a file containing Python definitions and statements. Okay, now, this is starting to be a little bit, oh, okay, now I don't understand that. Now, but it's the same as you see in this picture. The module, actually, it's going to be single file .py. Okay, so some file, and inside of this file, you will have many different functions, and we will get to functions. But right now, you can see a function as a book, or as I would like to see it as well as a certain box. Imagine library is a box. Inside of library, there's another boxes, which are modules, and inside of the modules there's different boxes which are functions. You put something inside of box and it's spitting out something else. So you put two numbers, and this box as a model, let's say, because right now we're dealing with the machine learning and we're always saying, well, this model is trained to do something. This box is trained to do plus, for example. You put inside of the box two numbers, it will spit out for you one number, which is first number plus the second number. This is it for us. Important disclaimer. In this course, I'm going to touch only the basics, which are pretty much enough for you to get started, okay? I'm going to disregard quite some areas which I don't know or which I think they're not important. So right now, we will talk about just modules and functions. We will not talk about the classes, which is, we will use them a lot. But for now, we actually will talk about this as well, but we will not go to build classes. We will build few functions. Okay, so far you're with me and everybody on the same page, I believe, because I was not talking about something complicated. I hope. So, what is a programming language? Generally, a programming language is a system of notations for writing computer programs. Okay, now this is from Wikipedia, I guess. Okay, so it will be text-based, and as you remember, I mentioned that Nuke, for example, it's not text-based because you have node graph and it's graphic-based. You have two nodes, you're connecting them, so there are a few graphical interfaces also when you're building your own sites on the internet and stuff. But this one, Python, is text-based, and Python is 30 years old, and it's high-level general-purpose programming language. Now, higher, it's not meaning that it's better. It's just a language which is sitting on top, okay? And it's very user-friendly, in my opinion, okay? Unlike C, for example, or some more older languages or languages which are low-level, which are sitting actually 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. I mean, that's the lowest. But there is a few on top which I don't remember, and I don't think it's important. Also important, I mean, not important for us because we're just compositors, but Python is now, I think, one of the most, like, language #1 by usage in the world, if I'm not mistaken, already for a few years. So it's coming up and already for a while. I may be mistaken with that, but it's one of the most used languages in the world right now. Okay, so that was the general introduction. Now let's talk about how actually we're going to work with Python. Because, well, Python, well, Alexey, great. Let's Python something. Let's do something. We need area in which we will be able to actually to execute are commands. And if you saw the movies, you always have these cool terminals and guys doing things. So they usually will use some text editor which actually has access to modules which are loaded. Because Python by itself, it's, well, you need to have the module, you need to have the Python installed. Now, the cool thing for you and for us, generally when Nuke is coming, you're opening the script editor of Nuke, and inside you have this text window. This is your text editor. And the good thing is that this text editor has an access to the model of Nuke. And this model called Nuke. That's it. This is your model. And we now supposed to start to get connection basically to library. Okay. Now, how is going to work? You typing something in your text area, and then you executing that. You selecting this and executing, and then it's spitting you the result of your basically request here. So you will be not able to go just to text editor to type something, because your text editor will be not connected to the libraries of Nuke, to the libraries of Python in general. That's something that you need to set up, but we're going to completely ignore this in these 3 days. We'll stay inside of script editor or NOP scripter, which I highly recommend you to install, but as much as I love it, I think it's good that we'll start from the very basics, which is script editor. Again, how does it work? You put some text inside of the text area, you select this text, and then you execute it by clicking this button, okay, or Control Enter. If you will not select this, the text will disappear, which is annoying in the beginning because you're not used to it and you're like, oh, man, this is stupid. But, well, that's how it's built. That's how programmers are using this, and we will stick to that because it does make sense generally. Okay, so that's where we're going to play. Okay, now let's start from actual stuff that we're going to play with. From what it's built. It's not built from 01001. We're not going to type actually 001. We're going to type actual normal characters in English language, and that's going to be or numbers or strings. Okay, there is a few more data types, but right now let's talk about just numbers and strings. So numbers can be integers and floats. So what are integers? 1, 2, 333, ta 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 ta. Floats 1.2, 3.004. Okay, so this is integer and this is float. And why there is differentiation? If you're curious, go try to understand. I went like, well, why it actually exist? Well, because some operations are faster with integers. Some languages actually do have no separation between integers and float, but Python has. So you will have to remember if number is supposed to be integer or the float. For example, frame number, it's always integer. It's 1, 3, 5. Okay, when you're grading, multiply, it can be 1.3, 1.5, and so on and so on. Okay, slightly annoying, I would say, but necessity, apparently, because that's used all the time. But this is numbers. This is one part that you need to understand. And next one is strings. What is strings? It's a text. String is collection of characters. So in this case, la, la, land. It's a string, okay? And as you can see, we have quotes. It can be also double quotes in Python. You can use or quotes or double quotes. It's not very important right now which ones you will use. Later you will understand slight difference or kind of like how can you use them together. But if you would like to add certain text, you always will have to write text and put it inside of quotes. And that's how Python will understand that this is actually text and not something else. What do you mean, Alexey? I mean that, for example, 5.55 right now, it's not a number. It's a text. It's just character, okay, that somebody wrote. So if you will try to make this plus another number, it's not going to work because he will like, well, you're trying to plus apple and orange. What can I make out of it? Okay, because he sees that, Python see that as a text. Okay, so this is very simple beginning. Okay, we have numbers, we have strings. Next question is, well, how we actually going to store these things? Because we cannot just throw data. For example, like we have Alexey, Florian, and Martin in the same room, and we want to store them somehow. We're not going to throw them just one on another or like just, well, they will be just on the floor. No, we need certain order to store this information. And two main kind of like, it's actually also data types called, but I would say two main ways to store our strings or numbers, it will be lists and dictionaries. We probably will stick to the lists for a while, saying that we also will see dictionaries. Let's see what is the difference between these two guys. The main difference is list is going to store items just one after another, 1, 3, and then as you can see we have a string after numbers. We can see that this is a number, this is a number, this is a string, and this is a number, separated by comma. And we can see these square brackets. So this is the way to store certain items, one after the other. Dictionaries are also storing items and separating them by comma. This is 2, but you also can see these 2 dots here. And what it stores, every item has a key and value. Mama is 100, Papa is 70, son is 1, 2, 3. Now, I did create it in a slightly maybe confusing way, and maybe I'm jumping too far away, but as you can see, the key is basically the who. It's like a variable. And value, it's what the value is of this guy. Of Mama is 100 and it's text. Of Papa is 70 is its number. And of son, the value of son is actually a list. So as you can see, these guys can contain inside of themselves all the data types that we did touch so far, okay? It can be, so son, actually it's a list, and Papa, it's actually a number, and so on. So this is the ways to store information. Well, what can we do with it? And it is extremely simple what we're doing in programming, and it's actually only comparing and adding or multiplying and stuff like that. So we're going to compare where we are, and based on that, we're going to do certain application. So if I am on the left side, add 5 to me. If I'm on the right side, minus 7 to me. That's it. And this is cool because this is simple. It's kind of like, it's what we're doing in Nuke. We're looking on the grade note, well, we're lacking red. Let's add red. We compared it, we made decision, and we did add. And programming does it for us automatically in some ways, okay? Because we're going to program certain functions, okay? So we have comparison operations and numerical operations. Next. I had it twice. Cool. Okay, guys, promise you we will get to the fun area. Stay with me because I know that it's completely annoying, but there is like, it's soon over. Okay, so the last, or almost last things are variables. Okay, so right now we know that there are characters, which can be numbers and strings. We can save these characters in certain order. That's great. And also we can assign these characters to variable. So we can say Trickster is 100. Okay, this is variable. Trickster now holding this number inside. Same as we had in school some time ago when we kind of like said x equal 5, y equal 7. And in programming, from the moment you assigned certain number or item to variable, you can retrieve this from this variable. So for example, this is first function that we're going to learn. It's called print. If we will say print, open brackets, Trickster, it will print for us 100. Okay, so I wrote here print 100, it will print for us 100. Print Trickster, it also will print 100. Okay, so we will dive inside of the Nuke in a moment when we will just actually look at all these things. But right now, the first function that we could learn, it's print. And this function is sitting inside of the, basically on the highest level of Python. So we don't need to go inside of some certain module to call this function. And you will see really soon what I'm talking about. You're just typing print, and it's, if you imagine the room, which is Python, that's called, library called Python, basically, the room. This print will stay on the floor. It will be not inside of the module. It will be not inside of a book. It will be really on the floor. You can access it, just say, oh, I see print, let's print. Okay? So that was variables. We'll play with variables in a moment. And the last thing before we jump into Nuke will be functions, as I mentioned. So we already know that we have characters, which can be numbers and text, strings. We know how to sort them, to put them in certain areas. And the functions is the way to do something with them. Because right now we can sort them, put them in certain area, we can assign variables. So when I'm screaming trickster, I'm getting 100, cool. But what else can we do? We need to provide for them area in which they're actually going to interact, and that's going to be functions. So, and that's how function is going to look like for us for a while now. You have a name of the function and then you have brackets. Okay, this is very simple now. Explanation will go a little bit deeper into it. And we can create our own functions by defining them, which we will do also probably not today even, but we'll see if we'll get there. So, how we defining functions? We're saying def, define, then space, and then your name, whatever you want, blah, 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 but this will be the name of the function. And then you opening brackets, then 2 dots, and that's what function is going to do. Print hello nuke, for example. Okay, as you can see, we have here 4 spaces. That's always going to happen. That's something that you will have to do. It's called intend. So everything which is inside of this intend, it's part of this function. Everything which is outside of this later, it's already not part of the function. Function is over here. What this function is going to do for us, from the moment we're going to call this function, it will print hello nuke. Okay, and this is very base thing for a lot of stuff later. Okay, so I'm promising, but right now I think this is time to jump inside of Nuke, because that's what I promised, that we will actually start touching stuff and we will be able to see how actually helping to us. Before I will start here questions about generally kind of like explanation that I gave you right now.
I'm really happy for you to spend as much time as you want on that beginning bit, defining the various attributes of a Python script, because that's the bit that always gets glossed over too quickly, and then people start showing you demonstrations of what you can do too quickly without you understanding enough of how it's working. So I'm very happy for you to continue to define the various aspects of the script.
All right, and that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. I'm not going to type codes right now. I'm going to iterate for a while, so you will start see, and I will try to connect the dry information that I gave you right now to actual code. Okay, so let's erase that. Let's just remind ourselves what is the script editor. By the way, this is Knob Scripter, which you will install to yourself after 2 workshops when you will understand how to do that, and you will use Knob Scripter. This is written by Adrian Puello, and this is better than script editor, let's put it mildly. Okay, same thing, but right now we'll stick to a script editor. Let's go back to script editor. The lower area, it's area which is listening to us whenever we're doing something, and then if I will write something there and I'll press enter, nothing is happening because I'm going to new line. But if I will press Control Enter or I will press Execute, immediately we will get a result. You see the result, and our result is traceback, which means some error. Traceback is bad. And then name error. Name is not defined. And here we're coming to our explanation on the texts. Strings. If you want to create some text, some string, you always have to put it inside of quotes. And right now, as you can see, it's even changed the color. And let's select this and let's run it again. Okay, there's no error. It's just, well, give us the result, whatever it is. Okay, what we had previously, I will erase it again, and I will select this, and I will run it again, Control Enter or here. The previous error was saying, well, name is not defined, because Python thinks that this is a variable. He thinks that we said, well, this is a variable, and he's looking, well, did he assign something to this variable, or did he assign the name of this variable to some element? And he's like, well, it's not there. But for example, have a look what I will do now. It's equal 100, and let's run this. So right now, actually, we'll get no error. Just give me a second. I will just erase this because I shouldn't. No, this one. Sorry, I just... Okay. So right now, there is some text, but he's not erroring because he's like, this is a variable, and now 100 is this variable. Let's go a little bit less crazy right now. Okay? Mama. Mama equal 100. Select, Control A, and run. Result, nothing. Okay? Because, well, fine, we assigned mama to 100, but we didn't tell it to do something. But we already know that mama is 100, and 100 is a number. Okay? Well, we can say, I will go to next, and I will say papa equal 50. Oh, yeah, let's go 50, that's fine. But in this case, 50 is a text. I will select both of them, Control Enter, no errors, great. And now let's come back to starting to operate on this a little bit, and let's call the function print, open the bracket, mama, close the bracket. Now, this function is located on the highest possible level. Really soon you will get why I'm always mentioning that. So you don't need to say, well, go to this library, to this module, and then call this function. No, you're just saying print. Okay, print mama. Okay, let's have a look. Now, I already did define that. From now till I will close the nuke, mama and papa are saved inside of the memory. Print mama. Boom, 100. Okay, let's try print papa. Print, open, close, papa. Papa is 50. Okay, this is slightly not understandable. Well, this is 100, this is 50, but it's actually not telling you the type of that. We can get the type easily, but right now we will skip it. Okay, we're not going to talk about this. Right now I'm interested in mama and papa. Okay, and print. Okay, so we managed to assign, but let's try to do something with mama, for example. Let's say print mama plus mama. Guys, what we're going to get? Anyone? Come on, that's easy.
200.
Error.
An error because one is a...
Nope.
Yeah, one is string and the other one is...
Exactly. No, we're going to get 200 because what he did, he added one mama to another mama, and then we printed the result. So that's how it works. You can say mama plus mama, and then he's printing the result, 200. Let's print papa plus papa, okay? Because it will be fun. Papa plus papa. What we will get?
50-50?
50-50.
Boom! Right. So right now we learned how we can plus text. Because when you're plussing text, it's just adding this to each other, okay? When you're plussing numbers, it will actually add them together. Now we're going to break, exactly as you mentioned. Mama plus papa. And here we're coming to our second error that we're going to learn. As unsupported operand type for init, which was mama, and string, which was papa. And now you will get this error when you will start programming. You're like, oh shit, what do I do now? And now we can actually say, well, before we're plussing them, we can go from string to init. Okay, and it's just by basically saying, well, let's make from papa init. And you can just say, for example, papa init equal int, I think, papa. So let's see what I'm doing. I creating new variable. I can actually use the variable of papa again, and he will change the variable there. But I don't want to confuse you. I'm just saying, well, this is another high-level function which is converting, if possible, one type to another. Okay, so I will just execute that, and as you see, there's no error. But right now, if I will say, well, mama plus papa init. I'll just copy this because mama plus papa will still give an error because papa is still string. But papa init actually, init, yep, yes, thank you very much. That's the another thing. This will give you 150. Okay, so that's very much basic operations. We already learned how to plus, how to kind of plus two values. We know that we have on the high level, we have operation which have function which is printing. It's called print. And also, I didn't want to go there, but we also know another function which can convert papa from string to init. We also can convert from init to string. For example, mama string equal str mama. And right now, mama string, it will be a text and not a number. So as you see, it's str and this is init from string. The same can be float as well. But again, guys, for now, forget even these things that I'm telling you. I'm going off the script right now, which is not healthy because I don't want to confuse you. Let's keep going. Okay, so we learned print.
One question?
Yes.
If this papa string and mama init, this is just you're creating another variable based
Exactly.
on another type of variable and converting it. So
Exactly.
papa init is nothing. Init is nothing special. Adding it, it's just another variable.
This is exact. This is not a variable. You can call it. That's the thing. That
Yeah, that's just a name.
it's just a name. That's why I'm using weird names all the time. So you will get it. Mama, Papa, Bobby. You will get it. This is you inventing this. This is you saying, well, this is variable, and that's going to hold this item.
New type. Okay. I see.
Okay. And now, why do we use variables actually? This is also a very important question to ask in the beginning, because well, I actually why I don't just do, for example, 50 plus 100 plus 10, because from the moment you will just execute that, well, it's executed. It's even gave me the result, but actually it did not. Just give me a second. My daughter is Zoe, was? Okay? Sorry. So, this is now gone. It did some operation, but it's gone. It's not saved in memory. You have nothing to hold. But from the moment you will say here, actually, I do want to use it later. Bobby is this. Now I always can say print Bobby. And I can do it like after 3 hours, and he will print me this 150. That's why we do want to have the variables all the time. Okay, not talking about variables. Let's keep going. So we learned print on the high level, but now let's actually do something with the Nuke. Okay, because we want to create a node. Okay, that's very much basic thing. I will erase this one, and here we go. There are commands in Nuke. There is a module which called Nuke. Okay, print is sitting on the floor of the huge library. You don't need to access that. Everything which is inside of Nuke is not sitting on the floor of the library because Python is huge. We will go to the module Nuke. Okay, that's the module, and inside of this module we will take all the cool stuff that were there. But we need to tell to Python that we want to go to this model. So we are going to Nuke dot create node. Let's see what I'm doing right now. I'm going to the module called Nuke, and that's how you're separating between modules and the function that you're calling. Now, in this case, I think it's not function, I think it's class, but let's ignore it completely right now. Okay, let's assume function. So, and this called create node. Okay, let's see. I will select that and I will enter. And here we're getting another error. Get used to this. Errors is good. You need to be able to read that. Well, it's required an argument, but it's not found. An argument is a node. Which node you would like to create? Let's come back to the functions, please, because I did explain to you what function is, and I showed you a very simple definition. Let's create another function because it will help us to understand what arguments are and parameters. Okay, so I will define my own function, which will be, of course, called mama f, let's say. And this will be a function. And then I will press tab here, because if I will not press tab, I will be out of the function. And this function will do print la la la. And I will execute that. I'm defining function, giving the function very cool name, and I'm saying, well, print something. Enter. Good, nothing did happen because I didn't call these functions. When you're defining function, as long as function is not erroring because you did some stupid stuff inside, it will just say like, okay, there's a function, I know that it's there, and it will be there. When Nuke is starting, he's loading many definitions, but he's doing nothing with them. It's all this like, tuk, 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 tuk. Okay? But right now, let's call it. And we're calling this by just executing that. Control V. Mama FFF. And I will execute this, Control Enter. And here we go, we have la la la. So this is, you will create many functions like that. You kind of like, because it's enough for you just to say, well, and then print something whenever I did something. Okay, let's make some fun function, which will be doing something else. Nuke message. Wow, we created a message. So this function will call for Nuke, and inside of Nuke there is a function, okay, which what this function does, it's creating little pop-up, which is printing the message. Boom. So right now you're able to create your own pop-up with a custom congratulation message there. Wow, we created a message. Okay, now I kind of like jumped a little bit here because exactly that's I wanted to explain to you, that some functions are expecting an input, and most of them will expect some input to get some output. In this case, our Nuke message function expected string, and what it does with the string, it creates where is it? Why it's not working? Oh, it was such a nice workshop till now, and then it stopped jumping. Just give me a moment. Let's maybe I have some
Try just putting the new message without the definition, Alexey, just to check. Maybe it's a bug.
yeah, it does look very interesting. Maybe I'm on top of everything. Nuke message.
Yeah, it looks like a new needs to be rebooted.
Oh no, that was such a nice flow. Okay, I will open a new Nuke session, but coming back to our definitions. Okay, so as you can see, this I did open another Nuke. Let's just see here. Just give me a moment. Windows, script editor, script editor. Okay, so as we can see even here, that some functions are expecting an input. So for example, I did jump over it, but print function is expecting, well, you want me to print something, give me something. Control Enter. Hello Nuke, I will print it. The another functions, Nuke message, actually expecting that you will feed it with some message, exactly like hello Nuke, for example. And instead of printing that, I don't know why it's not doing this. Trust me, it's supposed to work, because that's basically what it does. It's popping up the message. But let's come back now to our initial attempt to create a node. Nuke. We're going to Nuke, create node. And when we did try to do it previously, he told us, well, I need to know which node to create. Well, let's give him a node. So he's expecting in position 1, which is just here in beginning, node, Blair. Nuke create node, Blair. Boom. Magic happened. We created node, guys, and now we can create many of them very fast. We also can say, well, create them like that, which I did a lot in the beginning. And we have 5 of them created at the same time. Easy peasy. And you learned only one command. You're going to Nuke, and then you're saying create node, and that will be the name of the node, Blair. Okay? Sorry, I just messing. Now, of course, what you would like to do all the time before you're creating node, you're assigning this to some variable. So, for example, Blair mama equal Nuke create node Blair. And why? Because later you will want to do something with this node. So right now, this node created, you can see here when we did created nodes, the result was this, and this is an object which was created, a class, but let's call it just an object. But right now we have this object stored as Blair mama, and we can print it. Print Blair mama, and we can access it, which we will probably not do. Now when I'm printing this, it gives me all the parameters that I can change inside of this node. Okay, but let's pause for a moment, because right now it's basically we're going to the next workshop, what we're doing inside of this node, and I think I would like to linger a little bit before that, because we know that we are inside of the Nuke library and we know that we create in certain node, but you're like, well, Alexey, you knew this message, you knew this command, we don't. You knew that to create node, you need to type create node. We don't. How can we find out where this shit is stored? How we can find out what are possibilities? So the simplest way, and something that I'm using a lot. So first, it's 2 high-level functions, I call them, that can help you with that. It's dir and help. And let's see how we're going to use it. Delete everything. And we're going to say print nuke. I don't know what it will give me actually. And actually now he's saying me that nuke is the module object which is located here in plugins. Okay, fine. Print dir nuke. Or it's starting to be complicated here. Well, open brackets, close brackets. Let's simplify our life. We will assign this operation, dir nuke, to the variable. So the first thing we're saying, and that's how you're also making your code more readable. You're saying, well, I'm assigning this long thing to the variable, and then I'm printing this. Let's try. And this is a magical place that you want to be. Now, right now, it looks for you, what? But what it gives you every single book which is located inside of the shelf called Nuke. Every single class or function that you can access if you will type nuke dot and then what you can do. And here you definitely will find create node and more than that, like everything, because it is showing you this. Okay, for example, you can say, well, nuke script open, and you can open script. You can nuke show settings. To node, another very useful function. It's go to specific node. Okay, now this is extremely overwhelming right now. I do understand, and you will have to spend some time to see, well, what actually can give you script save, script close, selected nodes, which is one of the most used commands. But that's how you can find out where the thing is. Let's have a look a little bit easier example. Well, let's try and actually, and that's something that you can do with every element, with every object. Let's actually say, well, our blur equal nuke dot create node. Okay, let's create node called blur, and that will be blur. Okay, and now let's call it blur my, so we know that it's just a name. And now we will print dir blur my. So actually, let's do it as we did previously. We will assign it to the variable, so it will be again very clearly readable. We call it like dir variable, and then we will print this variable. So let's see what we're doing right now. We are creating a node, which we know how to do. We're going to Nuke and then running create node and giving him only one piece of information. What is the name of this node, which is blur. Actually, this is the class, name of the class. And then we're assigning this creation to another variable. We're digging inside of this variable and looking, well, what actually can we do with that? And then we're printing the result of that. I will select all that. Let me erase here. I will select all that and I will enter. And this is your happy playground, guys. This is everything you can do with the node, this specific node. For example, everything in here you can ignore. It's kind of like stuff that we don't care about with these underscores, but everything which is without underscores, let's see what we can do. For example, set X position. It's position in node graph. So we can put it left, we can put it right. We can say, well, give me the X position. We can say, well, set XY position, give me the name, or set the name, I guess, this one. What is very useful? Set name, set input, set selected, set up. Where is set value, actually, which is going to be the most important? No, set value, it's on different level. Okay, so this is everything that we can do with this specific node that we just created, okay? And that's super important, dir. Now, let's say we want a little bit more information, but because we're really lost on this node. I just duplicated this code, and another helpful function is help, really. It's just help. So instead of the dir, I will use help function. It will give me the same information as dir gave to me, but with explanations. So I'm creating a node, assigning this to variable. And then I'm saying, well, please tell me what can I do with this guy? Help with this node. And then print it to me. Select, Control Enter. And you getting this. It's a lot of text now. It's also very much zoomed in right now. But here, for example, I will go to the top. Blah, blah, blah. But basically you already, oh, come on, that's a lot. Yeah, so this is useless, that's fine. And then, for example, we can add knob to it. We can list all knobs. We can check the bounding box. We can clone it or see if it's cloned. And this is something, that's your playground, guys. This is something, name. Give me name of the node. For example, let's try name, okay? Where am I? Or we'll not try name because we're 2 minutes to 10 and I don't want to rush more forward. What I want you to live with today is a understanding of, well, the general structure of the Python, the main usual characters that we're using, which means it's text, strings, and it's numbers. Then we can organize them in different ways. We can store them as lists or dictionaries, which will touch next time, because we will play a lot with the operating on one element as a node. We have inside of the library different modules. In this case, it was only one, and we did manage to access it by typing Nuke. And then inside of this node module, we found a class that creates Blur, or function which is creating a Blur node for us. We learned how to assign variables, and very important for you when you will play with that, and I highly recommend you to play with that, we learned how to use dir, and we learned how to use help, because this is from the moment you're accessing some item, you want to see what you can do with that. And I would recommend you to try to play with that. Right now you will be not able to, because I didn't explain to you actually well how to use it, and I don't want to rush it a little bit. We'll stop on that, and maybe a few minutes if you have questions so far on what we went through, please shoot.
Hey, Alexey,
Yep.
I would ask you to share some links for us with the basics of Python so we can have a look. I mean, the links you think are the best, because there is a lot of Python information on the website, but yeah, some links that you think are useful for us.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, it's exactly that's big problem. That not problem. It's amazing that internet is so full of tutorials that it's crazy. You have what I would recommend you. First of all, the first recommendation will be please train between this. If you're not speaking the language, you're not going to learn the language. Please on the site create a node. I want to create great node, create it. I want to create another, create it. Type it, and that will be the essential. Another one I saw not so long time ago, there was a YouTube tutorial by some guy that explaining about please send it in our WhatsApp group, and whoever is not WhatsApp group, just send me, I will send you the link. But whoever will find this YouTube tutorial, or if I will find it, a guy that created like 20 classes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and he's starting directly from here. And I would recommend you to watch that, because he's jumping immediately into that, what we need as compositors. Okay, and here we go. Okay, so thank you, Salvador. And you now will have, so what I really want you to understand is more, not just what you're typing, because I did learn largely just by help, dir, without understanding what I'm doing. I still don't know exactly what is each element, but it's way healthier when you're getting this general understanding. And then like, this is a function, this is a model, what I'm doing, this is parameter variable, this is a method, which we'll get there as well. Okay, so this tutorial that Salvador did share with you, this is a very good place to start. Also, what I highly recommend is something that I did a few weeks back actually. It's to join the Python developers on LinkedIn. Look for it, because they always putting the Python cheat sheets there, some little questions in Python, and instead of just scrolling and looking on the cool stuff, you from time to time just getting this, oh cool, how do you use for example I don't know, dictionary, how to get items out of there, and it's just jumping on you without you needing to go and learn for that, and it's kind of like it's light. So that's something that I would recommend. Otherwise, this YouTube tutorial or any tutorial on internet, and I'm here doing this not because there's no better tutorials on internet, but because you kind of like have an opportunity just to sit together and like, okay, there is a workshop, okay, I will sit now, because otherwise I will kind of like not do it. Okay, that's the only reason, because there's a lot of very cool stuff outside there, and I will highly recommend you to go and look for it. I'm taking too much of your time. It's 10:02. I hope to see ones that will survive next week. We will keep diving inside of the Nuke functions and lists and dictionaries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. And stop recording.
Yes, yes.